In the heart of New York City, Ethan and Ava's family and Levi and Zoe's family are not only neighbors, but also longtime friends. Living together in a swanky luxury apartment building in the heart of the city, they both lead lives that are the envy of outsiders, and their relationship is strong and deep. Ethan and Ava's love story began during their college years. As classmates, they experienced the laughter and tears of youth together, and their friendship gradually transformed into a strong love over time. After graduation, they decided to hold hands and enter the marriage hall, building a cozy little family together. Soon after, their son Sean, the fruit of their love, was born. In order to make the family more beautiful, Ava resolutely chose to become a full-time mom to take care of the children and the family wholeheartedly. Ethan, on the other hand, carries the financial burden of the family. As a talented network engineer, he works hard to provide a stable and affluent life for his family. Meanwhile, the families of Levi and Zoe share a similarly heartwarming story. Levi, a stable and experienced financial analyst, met the beautiful and elegant Zoe at a social event, and they fell in love at first sight. After getting married, Zoe gave up her career and became a full-time housewife, taking care of her family and children. However, as the children grew up, Zoe wanted to return to the workplace and realize her own value. With Levi's encouragement and support, she bravely took her first step back into the workplace and became an administrative assistant in Levi's company. With her hard work and talent, Zoe has made remarkable achievements at work and won the praise of the company and her colleagues. These two families bonded over the fact that their children attended the same school and grew closer because of their similar family backgrounds and shared interests. Weekend family gatherings, joint holiday celebrations, and vacation getaways have brought them closer together. The children grew up together with laughter, while the adults spent unforgettable moments in each other's support and companionship. However, recently these two families, which seem to be in harmony in the eyes of outsiders, have each been hiding some unspeakable secrets and misgivings. For Ethan, he gradually noticed a significant change in his wife Ava's behavior. In the past, Ava always came home on time, took care of the children, took care of the housework, and they enjoyed an ordinary and cozy life as a family of three. But now, Ava began to work overtime frequently, sometimes even returning late at night. Even on the days she doesn't work overtime, she often goes out with friends, leaving Ethan and his son Sean home alone. The change fills Ethan's heart with unease, and he can't help but wonder if Ava still loves him as much as she used to, and if she still cherishes this family. Meanwhile, Levi faces a similar dilemma. He realizes that his wife, Zoe, has recently shown an unprecedented enthusiasm for her job. As an administrative assistant, she seems to be too close to Jackson, an important client of the company, and the two often travel together on business trips, with Zoe always coming back to him beaming and with an unusual gleam in her eye. This subtle change sends alarm bells ringing in Levi's mind, and he begins to re-examine his marriage and family relationships, worrying about whether Zoe has been attracted to Jackson and whether she's still willing to protect the family for him. One weekend night, the two families were together again. While the children played in the living room, Ethan and Levi silently walked out onto the balcony and gazed at the busy city lights in the distance. In the quiet of the evening, they each confided their worries and confusions. Ethan sighed and said, "I don't know what's going on with Ava lately. She seems to be getting stranger and stranger. I'm worried that she's not in some kind of trouble or bored with our marriage." Levi responded with a frown, "I feel the same way. Zoe's recent changes have been disturbing to me, and I'm worried that she hasn't fallen in love with someone else." However, these doubts and anxieties, like tiny seeds, fell silently into Ethan and Levi's hearts. They took root in the day-to-day suspicion and anxiety and gradually grew into a dense forest of doubts. In the dead of night, these doubts become invisible shackles that bind their minds and prevent them from letting go. They began to try to verify their suspicions by searching for clues, but this search process led them into deeper pain and confusion. The life of the two families, on the surface, still maintains the usual peace and order. The daily routine of morning and evening, the 3 meals and the 4 seasons, all seem to be moving slowly according to the established trajectory. What the neighbors saw were still the two harmonious and happy families, with the children's laughter and the adults' friendly and natural mannerisms. Underneath this calm exterior, Ethan and Levi's hearts have long ceased to be peaceful. They begin to feel an unspoken unease that stems from questions about the stability of their marriage and doubts about their wife's fidelity. The beliefs that had been so deeply rooted in their hearts now began to crumble like sand castles. The autumn sunlight filtered through the gaps between the tall buildings and dappled on the busy streets, adding a touch of warm gold to the city. However, Ethan, who was sitting in the office building, was not interested in enjoying the warmth of this autumn day. His eyes wandered beyond the computer screen, and his heart surged with an indescribable uneasiness. Ever since he noticed a subtle change in his wife Ava's behavior, his heart has been tugged by an invisible thread, and he has never been able to calm down. Ava has been working a lot lately, and her homecoming has been delayed day by day, and even on weekends, it is rare for him to see her. Whenever he asked about her work, Ava always responded with, "I've been busy lately," and her smile gradually became perfunctory and forced. One night, Ethan prepares a sumptuous dinner with the intention of spending a romantic evening with Ava. However, when night falls, Ava still hasn't returned. As he waited anxiously, the food on the table gradually lost its original warmth. At that moment, he accidentally glimpsed Ava's cell phone left on the table. An unread text message flashed on the screen, and driven by curiosity, Ethan tapped on the message. However, the content of the text message was like a heavy hammer, hitting his heart hard. "Honey, last night's dinner was really nice. Looking forward to our next encounter." The tone of the text message was intimate and ambiguous, clearly exceeding the boundaries between ordinary friends. Ethan only felt his heart tighten, as if an invisible force was gripping his throat. He tried to convince himself that it was just a misunderstanding, but the doubts in his heart grew wildly like weeds. He didn't know how to face this sudden question. Should he directly question Ava, or should he secretly look for more evidence? His heart fell into a deep conflict and uneasiness. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, Levi is going through similar troubles. As a senior financial analyst, he spends a lot of time traveling and dealing with all kinds of clients. Recently, however, he realizes that his wife, Zoe, is unusually enthusiastic about her work, especially with one of the firm's key clients, Jackson, who seems to have an unusual relationship. On a whim, Levi returns home early from a business trip only to find that Zoe is not home. He dialed Zoe's number, but unexpectedly heard Jackson's voice on the other end of the line. At that moment, his heart was as cold as falling into an ice cellar. He began to wonder if the relationship between Zoe and Jackson was simply a work relationship. A few days later, the company throws a big party and Levi is invited to attend. However, a scene at the party sends him into complete despair. He saw Zoe and Jackson talking intimately in the corner, their bodies almost pressed together, and Zoe's face was filled with an unprecedented happy smile. This scene stabbed Levi's heart like a sharp blade. After a series of blows, Ethan and Levi decide to meet up to share their confusion and pain with each other. They chose a dimly lit and quiet bar as a place to talk. Under the dim light, both of their faces are full of worries and insecurities. "I don't really know what to do about it," Ethan whispers of his internal struggle. "I'm afraid that once I ask, our relationship will never be the same again." His voice revealed a hint of helplessness and confusion. Levi sighed as well, the same confusion and pain shining in his eyes. "I feel the same way. Every time I see Zoe and Jackson together, my heart hurts like it's being torn apart. I don't know how much longer I can endure this kind of torture." His voice grew hoarse and shaky. In this dimly lit corner, the two men silently poured out their inner pain and confusion. They knew that if they did not seek the truth, they would never be able to find true peace in their hearts. But at the same time, they are also afraid that the revelation of the truth will completely destroy their peaceful lives. As time passes, the doubts in Ethan and Levi's minds become heavier and heavier. They begin to cautiously search for evidence in an attempt to uncover the wives' secrets. In the process, their hearts are always wavering between trust and betrayal. As a result, their marriage and family face a severe test like never before. As the autumn days deepen, the leaves gradually turn golden, while Ethan and Levi's hearts are like fallen leaves swept by the autumn wind, full of depression and heaviness. They begin to take action, trying to unravel the deep secrets of their respective wives, only to seek a clear answer to their inner confusion and pain. Ethan, the usually calm and introverted man, is now like a sharp cheetah, watching every move of his prey. He began to observe Ava more carefully, trying to find some clues from her schedule. Whenever Ava picks up her cell phone, his eyes unconsciously go to it, wanting to pry into its secrets. And when Ava tells him that she needs to go to the library to check out some information, his heart can't help but ripple. On the surface, Ethan was supportive of Ava's words, and there was even a hint of a smile at the corner of his mouth. However, his heart was filled with suspicion and uneasiness. He decided to follow Ava himself to see if she really went to the library as she said. This decision was not easy for him, as he knew it would be a severe test of their marriage. That afternoon, the sunlight poured through the gaps in the leaves, creating dappled light and shadows on the ground. Ethan left the office early, his steps hurried but determined. He arrived near the library and hid in an inconspicuous corner, his eyes locked on the entrance of the library. His heartbeat gradually accelerated, as if it were about to jump out of his chest. Soon, he caught sight of Ava. She was wearing a beige trench coat, looking elegant and subdued. However, Ethan realized that she did not enter the library as she said, but turned to a nearby cafe. This discovery caused a strong uneasiness to well up in Ethan's mind. He followed Ava closely, afraid of missing any detail. In the cafe, he saw a scene that broke his heart. Ava and a strange man sat by the window. The sunlight on their faces seemed particularly gentle. They acted intimately, the man gently caressing Ava's hand while Ava smiled and bloomed like a flower. This scene was a bolt from the blue for Ethan, and his heart ached as if it had been torn apart. He hid in the corner and captured the scene with his cell phone. Each photo was like a sharp knife, piercing deep into his heart. His heart was filled with pain and anger, and he couldn't accept this cruel reality. Meanwhile, Levi is going through a similar ordeal. He begins to pay more attention to Zoe's work schedule, trying to find something unusual between her and Jackson. He's conflicted and struggling, hoping that his suspicions are unwarranted and fearing that the truth is far harsher than he realizes. On a business trip, Levi returns early on purpose. With trepidation, he quietly enters his hotel room, but unexpectedly hears laughter and whispers coming from the next room. The sound was like a bolt from the blue for him, and his heart instantly sank to the bottom. He quietly went to the door of the next room and saw through the doorway a scene that shocked him. Zoe and Jackson were embracing each other closely. Their smiles and gestures seemed so intimate and natural. Levi felt a wave of dizziness and powerlessness. He couldn't believe his eyes. His wife, the one he loved so much, had betrayed him. As the truth is revealed, Ethan and Levi's hearts no longer have the slightest hesitation. The evidence they each hold is like a sharp, double-edged sword, piercing both themselves and destined to destroy the family they once loved so much. In the chilly fall air, the two men return to their separate homes with heavy hearts, ready for a final confrontation with their wives. Ethan and Levi experience a huge emotional shock. They begin to question their own worth and the meaning of their marriage, feeling a deep sense of loss and despair. However, despite the pain and struggle inside, they know that they must make a decision in the face of betrayal. Ethan stood in front of his house and took several deep breaths, trying to calm himself. He knew that once he pushed the door open, his life would change forever. He walked into the living room and saw Ava sitting on the couch with a book in her hand, seemingly waiting for him to come home. Ethan didn't say anything. He just quietly pulled his cell phone out of his pocket and opened up the heartbreaking photos. "Ava, these pictures, how do you explain them?" Ethan's voice was calm and firm, his eyes revealing a hint of desperation. Ava saw those pictures and her face instantly turned pale. She tried to explain, her voice trembling. "Ethan, listen to me. It's not what you see. I can explain." But Ethan interrupted her. "Explain? How do you expect me to believe you? Your behavior has betrayed our marriage, our love." Ava's tears began to slide down her face, her voice laced with sobs. "I know what I did was wrong and I regret it. but I really love you and I don't want to lose you. However, no matter how much Ava pleads, Ethan's heart has gone cold. He knew that the marriage was beyond repair. He took a deep breath and spoke that decision with difficulty. Let's get a divorce. It's better for both of us. On the other side of town, Levi is facing a similar situation. He came home to see Zoe busy in the kitchen, preparing dinner. Levi didn't say a word, but just walked quietly to the table and sat down. Zoe turned to him and asked him with a smile, "Honey, why are you home so early today?" Levi didn't respond to her smile. He took the recorder out of his pocket and played the laughter and whispers he had heard that day in the next room of the hotel. Zoe's face instantly turned pale. Her voice trembled. "Levi, let me explain. It wasn't?" But Levi interrupted her just the same. "Explanation? I've seen it with my own eyes and heard it with my own ears. The closeness between you and Jackson is beyond any explanation." Zoe's tears began to well up as she tried to salvage, "Levi, I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that, but I love you and I don't want to lose our home." Levi's heart was also bleeding, but he knew that the marriage had come to an end. With great difficulty, he spoke that decision. "Zoe, let's get a divorce. It's the only way out for us." Amidst the falling autumn leaves, Ethan and Levi each embark on a journey to find solace in their hearts. They knew that facing the brokenness of their marriage was too much for them to bear on their own. So they begin to open up to their friends and family, sharing their pain and confusion, hoping to find a shred of comfort in the understanding and support of others. Ethan first contacted his college friend and former coworker, Mark, a good listener and compassionate person who was always there to offer help and advice in times of need. One rainy afternoon, Ethan and Mark sat in a quiet cafe, and Ethan told him what he was going through. "I really don't know what to do, Mark." Ethan's voice held a hint of a tremor. "I feel like I've been abandoned by the whole world." Mark gently patted Ethan's shoulder and responded in his warm, firm voice, "Ethan, I know this is very hard for you, but please believe that you are not alone. We will find a solution together." With Mark's comforting words, Ethan felt a touch of warmth. Together, they discuss possible solutions, and Mark offers some practical advice, such as seeking professional counseling and how to communicate more effectively with Ava. At the same time, Levi is looking for support. He reaches out to his sister, Lena, a smart and strong woman who has always been Levi's spiritual support, giving him strength and courage whenever and wherever he needs it. On a cold night, Levi sits in the living room of Lena's house and tells her about his ordeal. Lena listens intently, her eyes filled with compassion and love. "Levi, I can't imagine what you're going through right now." Lena's voice was soft and firm. "But remember, no matter what happens, I'm here for you." Lena's words give Levi great comfort. They discussed Levi's future together, and Lena encouraged him to be strong and fight for his happiness. She also suggests that Levi consider seeking legal counseling to protect his rights. After listening to the different opinions around them, Ethan and Levi decided to take legal action, realizing that they were about to step into a challenging and uncertain area. They needed to understand the laws surrounding divorce and property division and had to face the legal complexities and possible financial burdens. The process tested not only their patience and intelligence, but also their emotional and mental capacity. Ethan first contacted a well-known family law attorney for professional legal advice. During the first meeting, the attorney explained the divorce process in detail, including issues such as property division, child custody, and alimony. Ethan listened to the attorney's explanation with a sense of unease. He realized that even though divorce was inevitable, the process could be very difficult and lengthy. The lawyer told Ethan that property division is usually based on the principle of equity, but since his and Ava's property is more complex, including real estate, savings, investments, and retirement funds, a detailed financial analysis is needed. In addition, there may be additional legal disputes involved due to Sean's custody issues. Ethan listens to all of this and feels more stressed than ever. Levi's situation was similar. He likewise consulted an experienced attorney and began preparing the relevant legal documents. The division of Levi and Zoe's property was equally complex, especially when considering their joint real estate and investments. The attorney advised Levi to gather all relevant financial documents and be prepared to argue his case in court. In the process of preparing the legal documents, Both Ethan and Levi felt a deep sense of powerlessness. Not only did they have to face the legal red tape, but they also had to deal with possible public outcry and exposure of their personal privacy. They began to realize that divorce is not just about two people. It involves the entire family, including their children and loved ones. As the legal process progressed, both Ethan and Levi began to feel the financial strain. Attorneys' fees, court costs, and other related expenses began to accumulate, which caused them to reconsider their financial situation. They began to cut back on unnecessary expenses and sought other sources of income to cope with the potential financial burden. In the process, Ethan and Levi also began to reflect on their marriage and their lives. They realized that although divorce was a painful decision, it was also an opportunity to re-examine their lives. They began to think about their future, including career development, personal interests, and new relationships. At the same time, Ethan and Levi began to seek social support. They joined a divorce support group to share ideas with others going through similar struggles. In this group, they heard a variety of stories and received a lot of helpful advice and encouragement. These exchanges made them feel that they were not alone and made them more determined to face the challenges ahead. Over time, Ethan and Levi's legal case grew into a substantive phase. They began attending court hearings and working with their attorneys to prepare their evidence and arguments. In the courtroom, they had to remain calm and focused, despite the tension and anxiety that filled them. Along the way, Ethan and Levi also learned how to maximize their interests within the legal framework. They began to participate more actively in the legal process, working closely with their attorneys to develop strategies. They realized that despite the complexity and time-consuming nature of the legal process, it was an important means of protecting their rights. Eventually, after a series of legal battles, both Ethan and Levi received a court judgment. Although the outcome was not exactly what they had hoped for, they accepted the reality and set about rebuilding their lives. They know that while divorce is a painful process, it is also the beginning of a new life. As the dust settles from their marriage, Ethan and Levi stand at a new beginning in their lives. Although they are still burdened with the weight of loss and pain, they are gradually emerging with a surge of courage and determination to get back on their feet. They realize that life doesn't stop just because of one failure. They need to rediscover their values and goals, to explore and embrace a new self. Ethan began his journey to rebuild himself. He first enrolled in a fitness program, hoping that working out would release his inner stress and give him back a sense of control over his life. Every morning, he would sweat on the treadmill at the gym, feeling his body getting stronger and his mind becoming more determined. He also began to participate in various social activities, such as book clubs, hiking clubs, and cooking classes, which not only allowed him to make new friends, but also allowed him to discover his new interests and potential. Levi chose a different path. As a senior financial analyst, he decided to put his professional skills to work helping others. He joined a nonprofit organization that provides financial counseling and planning services to those who are struggling financially. By helping others, Levi felt a renewed sense of meaning and purpose in his life. At the same time, he embarked on a journey of self-improvement, enrolling in psychology and communication skills classes in hopes of better understanding relationships and building healthier connections in his future life. In the process of rebuilding themselves, both Ethan and Levi encountered challenges and difficulties. From time to time, they would recall the good times in the past, and sadness and nostalgia would well up in their hearts. But whenever they do, they remind themselves that life is always about moving forward, and they need to be brave enough to face reality, accept change, and learn and grow from it. Ethan meets a woman named Sophia, a passionate and outgoing artist, during a cooking class. The two resonate with each other as they make food together and begin a new friendship. Over time, this friendship develops into a new relationship, and Ethan feels that his life has been enriched by Sophia's presence, and he begins to believe in love again, with hope for the future. Levi also grew to find a new direction for himself in helping others. He realized that he could start his own business by combining his expertise and passion for helping others. So he decided to start a company that specializes in providing financial consulting services to small and medium-sized businesses. This decision made him feel both excited and nervous, but he knew that it was an important step for him to rebuild himself and realize his personal value. Over time, both Ethan and Levi began to feel the positive changes that came from rebuilding themselves. Their lives became more fulfilling and meaningful, and their mental state improved dramatically. They learned how to learn from their failures and how to turn their pain into motivation to move forward. As Ethan and Levi's lives begin to change, so does their inner world, and Ethan's encounter with Sophia during a cooking class is a warm ray of sunshine that illuminates his once gray life. As Sophia, an outgoing artist, gives Ethan a sense of warmth and comfort that he hasn't felt in a long time, with her understanding and support. The emotional connection between Ethan and Sophia deepens over the course of making food together, and every smile and encouragement from Sophia makes Ethan feel that he is no longer alone. Their time together is always filled with laughter, and Sophia's optimism and positivity influence Ethan to take a fresh look at his life and see more possibilities and hope. Sophia is not only a listener, but also a guide. She encourages Ethan to explore his interests, to try new things, and to face life's challenges with courage. With Sophia's companionship, Ethan began to revive his hobby. He picked up his brushes again and started painting, which was his dream when he was young, but was forgotten due to the busyness of life. Now he has the time and space to pursue his love, and Sophia's support gives him the courage to try and create. At the same time, Levi is also trying out new relationships. After a failed marriage, he knows that he needs more than just a partner, but one who truly understands him, supports him, and grows with him. Levi starts attending various social events, and he hopes to meet the right person in the process. At a charity gala, Levi met a woman named Isabella, an educator whose passion for education and sense of responsibility to the community captivated Levi, and their conversations were full of empathy as Levi realized that Isabella was not only smart and independent, but also had a deep understanding of life and unique insights. Over time, Levi and Isabella's relationship heats up as they begin to date and share their lives and ideas. They began dating, attending events together, and sharing their lives and thoughts with each other. Isabella's independence and intelligence left Levi in awe, and her support and understanding warmed his heart. Levi began to realize that he may have found the one person with whom he could spend the rest of his life. With a new relationship budding, Ethan and Levi's lives are gradually taking on a new track. However, they are well aware that despite the end of their marriage, their responsibilities as parents do not end. They are determined to reconcile with their ex-wife and share the responsibility of raising their children for the sake of their children and their future. Ethan and Ava's son, Sean, is a spunky little boy. Despite the rift in his parents' marriage, Ethan strives to protect Sean from harm. He and Ava begin a difficult conversation about how they can co-parent Sean and ensure that he can grow up in a loving environment. In a calm conversation, Ethan told Ava, "No matter what happens between us, Sean is the love we share. We need to provide a stable home environment for him." Ava, after a period of self-reflection, also realized her responsibility as a mother. She replied, "You're right, Ethan. I'm willing to work with you to give Sean the best." They began to develop a shared parenting plan that included visitation time, school activity participation, and an important decision-making process. Although Ethan and Ava could no longer live together as a couple, they learned to collaborate as partners in Sean's best interests. Levi and Zoe faced similar challenges. They know that even though their relationship has changed, as parents they need to stick together for the sake of their child. Levi and Zoe's daughter, Emma, is an inquisitive and creative little girl. Both Levi and Zoe love Emma dearly and are determined not to let the problems between the adults get to her. In a candid conversation, Levi told Zoe, "Emma is our baby, and we need to make sure she feels our love, regardless of our relationship." Zoe, having gone through a period of self-discovery and growth, has also begun to understand her responsibilities as a parent. She replied, "I agree, Levi. We should put Emma's happiness first." They begin to work together to be involved in Emma's school life, support her hobbies, and make sure that she can thrive on the love of her parents. Levi and Zoe learn how to manage their differences and make sure that Emma doesn't suffer as a result of her parents' problems. Over time, both Ethan and Levi began to feel the positive effects of reconciliation. Their children were given a stable and loving environment to grow up in as a result of their joint efforts, and Ethan and Levi learned to grow and mature in the process, realizing that even though the marriage had ended, their responsibilities and love as parents would never change. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.